Not many of us can identify with what must go through the preparation for somebody who is an athlete. The love of athletics to you didn't just begin then, though. It began when you were 5 years old.
Yeah, I started running when I was around 5 years old. I started at Little Athletics, where most kids start running, and yeah, I loved the feeling of running. My mum was a good runner, my uncle was a good runner, and just getting out with them was a lot of fun.
And I'm told at 10 you were watching the Barcelona Olympics 1992 and decided then you wanted to be an Australian athlete.
Yeah, I was watching the women's 3,000 metres go around, and I remember just being, epically inspired by the women, and one athlete in particular, Irish woman, Sonia O'Sullivan, who placed 4th in the Olympics. And I remember turning around to my mum and dad and saying I'd like to do that one day. And everything just became about making the Olympics from that point on, even from a young age.
So we fast forward, in 2000, you were actually selected to represent Australia in your hometown of Sydney, but the celebrations were short-lived.
Yeah, I was selected in the shadow Olympic team after doing the qualifying time as a 16-year-old for the 5,000 metres, and I unfortunately got injured. I suffered my first stress fracture about 2 weeks after running the Olympic qualifying time, so it was pretty devastating at the time.
You're still interested, concerned about athletics and interested in running, but also human rights, justice, those things that are wrong in the world, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of stumbled into it, really. I never really had anything to do with Africa or charity or anything, but just meeting Julius at that point and hearing his story, and then going to Uganda and meeting the orphans that he'd been caring for, and meeting his family and going to his village, and just flying home, just knowing, knowing that we could raise some money in Australia and send it over and start something, and that's what we essentially did. We didn't really know what we were doing when we began, but it's just we've had a lot of support from our friends and a lot of support in Australia to be able to do the projects in Uganda.
What are the hopes and dreams of that charity that you have?
Well, I mean, just to continue what we're doing, obviously, with the medical clinic, and this year we've actually opened a hospital sitting beside the medical clinic, and just to be able to fit out the hospital with all of the vital equipment and the furnishings, and and be able to pay the staff the wages, and eventually we want it to be self-sustaining, and we're hoping to use the land so that it can be self-sustaining in the future. But at the moment, yeah, just getting that established.
And for many Aussies, they wouldn't realise how little it takes to actually do an enormous amount in Africa.
It does. It's we run a program called Sense for Seeds with this year 1,100 women from 3 different villages, and $25 will buy them 30 kilos of seeds, and 30 kilos of seeds can harvest 100 kilos of food, and 100 kilos of food, that
Yes.
can go a long way for
Yes.
a family, and that program's actually, literally breaking the cycle of poverty in entire communities, and we're excited about the growth of that program too.
Look, you say for a long time, and this is about you now personally, running was your identity, it's what you were. So the people said who you were, that was your identity, that was your purpose. So when did faith become real in all of this?
Well, it was actually after my first injury. I was still at school, and I remember being at school one day, and I'd shut out all my friends. I got quite down after knowing that I wouldn't make it back for the Sydney Olympics, and I remember a new girl came over to me and sat beside me, and she was new to our school and new to my year, and she said, I heard about what happened to you, and I just want you to know that I've been praying for you, and I've got some people from my church praying for you. And I'd grown up in a Catholic family, so I knew about God, but I didn't know God. I thought that I had this warped sense of who God was. I thought that he was this big being up in the sky that, was punishing me for something that I'd done wrong. And I ended up going to church with this friend, Lisa, and hearing, about Jesus, and hearing that he wanted a relationship with me, and that he cared about the intricate details of my life.
So did faith begin to help you to handle how you're dealing with injuries and beginning to look to the future?
Absolutely, just, reading the Word and reading, the truths in the Bible about, God having a good plan for your life no matter what circumstance you're going through, and, just holding on to that and, staying strong, and asking God for that strength instead of trying to find it in your own, in your own strength.
And today you're involved, as we are at Wesley Mission, in mentoring young people and mentoring others in similar situations and speaking, especially young people. I think it's so important here. When you share your story, what is it about the Christian faith that you feel is very easy to share in that context?
I guess when I share my story, I tell people that, no matter who you are or what you've done, that Jesus loves you and he wants a relationship with you. And, that's as simple as it gets. And that was what it was like for me, that, this, revelation of, I'm not as, far from God as I think I am. He wants a relationship with me, and all I had to do was receive that grace and receive that love.
And do you think that this, the Love Mercy Foundation work has helped to put a wholeness to that Christianity too? Because it isn't just about believing, it's also about doing for you as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know that once we went to Uganda and we saw the plight of the people there, I had a responsibility in a way to do something with what I'd seen. I felt a burden, really.
And it's a connected responsibility. But you're more than that. You're a wife, a mother to a beautiful baby girl, India. What's life like now?
It's busy, but it's, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's busy with training and being a mother to India and with Love Mercy, but, it's great.
You wouldn't have it any other way, would you?
That's right.
Lovely to talk to you. And thanks for coming and sharing something of your story and your ministry.